Hi, I'm Rajesh and welcome to another edition of Vlogging with Rajesh G. How are you guys doing today? I hope all of you are doing great and I hope it continues that way. If I ask you how many of you read newspapers on a daily basis, I think the majority of people raising their hands will be quite less. But if I ask a question, how many of you want to read newspaper on a daily basis, then I think the number of people raising their hands will be slightly on the higher side. Because everybody wants to read newspapers, but they don't know from where to begin, and as a result of which they decide not to read it at all. That's the most easiest way. People don't want to look for options, but when they're doing a shopping or when they're making some purchases, they want to explore multiple options. So today I'm going to talk about Bangalore Mirror, a newspaper which is available in Bangalore. And let me tell you, I have been addicted to this newspaper. So it was almost a decade ago that I was introduced to this newspaper, and from then till now, I have been a very big fan. And there are multiple reasons for it. First among them is it's in a tabloid form. So since the newspaper is in a tabloid form, it is very easy to handle. It is not like other newspapers which is so big. It is very short, only this much length. So people can easily handle it. Secondly, it is pocket friendly. When I say pocket friendly, is like normally if you go for normal newspapers, you may have to shell out few hundreds. But this newspaper, even if you read it for almost a month, 100 rupees plus change is what you will have to pay. And last and the most important thing, it covers all the happenings across globe. So in short, all happenings in Bangalore, in India, globally, entertainment and cricket are covered in this tabloid newspaper, making it the most sought after for people like me. So you'd be wondering why people like me, because I don't get time early in the morning to read newspaper. Busy schedule, you have to get ready, go to office. Being on time in office is something which I always inculcate, and I ask others also to do the same thing. So morning is not my cup of tea. Evening, once when I come back and I'm about to hit bed, I make it a point to read newspaper peacefully and calmly, so that when I'm reading that newspaper, my full dedication and devotion is towards reading that newspaper and not any other thing. And it only takes 15 to 30 minutes to read that newspaper. That is one of another advantages, because all the informations which you want to know is present before you in a crisp format, making it easy for me. And sometimes you don't get time to read newspaper in the evening. So what do? So sometimes I read it the next day, even if in case the next day has been kind of hectic for me. So what I'll do, I'll just accumulate this newspaper to be read on the weekend. But I make it a point to read the newspaper. All the newspapers of the past 3 or 4 days, I'll just read it. Why? Because I want to know what has happened in the past 4 days, not only in Bangalore but across globe. And it's one of the best ways to keep myself updated about what's happening in and around me. One most important thing which I wanted to share about Bangalore Mirror is, when we were gripping under the pandemic, we had a lot of time at home not knowing what to do. That time, Bangalore Mirror was a savior for many of us, especially for a reading buff like me. Usually, the time which I used to spend for reading the newspapers was almost 30 minutes. But during that time, I used to spend more than an hour, because I would read the entire newspaper. I had a lot of time that time back then. And Bangalore Mirror understood that this is a time when people need some form of entertainment, because how much of television, laptop or movies will you watch? You want something else. So Bangalore Mirror started an initiative that if in case a particular person is not able to get his daily dose of news through Bangalore Mirror, all they had to do was to inform them on a particular email ID or a phone number, and the newspaper will be delivered to your doorstep. And that too, let me remind you, at a time when people were literally skeptical of stepping out of their house, the delivery guys of Bangalore Mirror were on the road for people like us, so that we can stay back at home and get some other form of entertainment other than gluing ourselves to the television and other forms of visual media. That, and let me tell you one thing, many people had developed the habit of reading newspaper during the pandemic time, because the readership of Bangalore Mirror had just gone up. So, it brought about a positive change towards the reading community in Bangalore. So, whether I'm in Bangalore or not, I make it a point to read Bangalore Mirror, usually through an offline mode if I'm not in Bangalore. But in Bangalore, I make it a point, that my subscription of this paper is continuous. So when I moved back to the city, I was so happy for multiple reasons. But one of the reasons among them was like, now I'll be able to read my favorite newspaper. And let me tell you, the first day when I got the delivery of that paper in the basement of my building, and the feeling which I got when I held that newspaper was amazing and mesmerizing, is what I would like to say. And from that day till this date, everyday newspaper is a regime. And the day when I don't see the newspaper kept at a particular place, I am little worried. I'm like, what happened? Why the paper is not there? Except on certain days, like we had Republic Day had just gone by, so 27th I was expecting it won't be there. Because morning when I go to office, I just grab the paper with me, carry it with me to the office, bring it back home, and I get the time to read it only at home because I don't want to read it in office, because when I'm reading it, I want to read it at my pace. And I always, if somebody wants to get into the habit of reading, I always encourage them to read this newspaper, because it's in very crisp format, and you will not feel the burden of reading a newspaper. You will not even feel like you are reading a newspaper, but in reality you are reading it. And the second most important thing is, people can enhance their vocabulary, which is very important in today's arena. So that was all about Bangalore Mirror and how it has made a positive impact on my life and many others. If you want to make that impact in your life, and if you are a resident of Bangalore, try Bangalore Mirror once, and I'm very sure of one thing, that you will never regret your decision of taking that first step towards Bangalore Mirror. So I hope this video was informative for you. If that's the case, like the video, share the video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. So until my next video, bye bye, take care and spread the power of positivity around you.